day you find 10 years have gone behind you.
Welcome back. It is 7:53, so no longer the exception, but it seems like it's the new norm. A Census Bureau study shows boomerang kids are becoming much more common. Tracy Levinson is an author and Christian speaker. Her latest book, targeted at millennials, is called Unashamed, Candid Conversations about Dating, Love, Nakedness, and Faith. Thank you so much for being here. We're talking about these boomerang kids. Basically, it's the kids that go off to college or go off to school, and then they wind up back knocking on the front door saying, hey, can I move back in, Mom and Dad? And you have your own son that this happened to.
I do. I have a boomerang kid. And I think the key issue with the whole boomerang, which is kids go off and then they come back.
Right.
I think the big question is, why are they coming back?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Well, it was interesting. The census data tells us that this is happening more and more. In fact, 1 in 3 young people, I thought this was surprising, that's about 24 million of 18 to 34-year-olds lived in their parents' home in 2015. And if you take a look at statistics from like 4 decades ago, it is a total reversal. I mean, it's night and day. I'm guessing money is probably the #1 reason why kids are like, yeah, wait, I'm out of school, but I don't have enough money.
And well, one of the biggest issues is college debt. Like $37,000 is the typical college debt. And then I think, you know, rental is expensive, but I also think that it, again, depends on, are they moving home to pay off that debt? Are they moving home because they want to save? Or are they delaying adulthood?
Okay, so you need to look at what is behind their thoughts. Really, it probably is really important to make this work.
I think so too. And then the other thing I think it's worth thinking about is there an end date?
Okay.
So my son is engaged to be married. He's saving his money. He does ask me to make him sandwiches sometimes, which
maybe do some laundry.
Right.
Okay, so there's a plan in place. There's an end date in sight.
That's really important for there to be a plan in place, an end date in sight. And then I think one of the tricky things with some families is the social issues. So for instance, they've been adults. They've been the ones that have gone to college.
Right.
But now, like, how late do they stay up?
Right.
Do they have a curfew? Can they bring people, boyfriends and girlfriends, home at night? Are they, I mean, some parents struggle because the kids are partying. And so you get into those kind of issues too. Are there boundaries with that as well?
So make sure you set your boundaries. What I thought was interesting that you said is that helicopter parents, those parents that kind of hover over their kids, often produce boomerang kids.
And that's a really different issue. That's really about identity. I think helicopter parents, they're so afraid for their children to have any sort of pain. Pain causes resilience.
Right.
And so I think when we are delaying adulthood, we're letting our kids move back home, we don't want them to be uncomfortable or to struggle.
You're sheltering them a little,
I think so
maybe
too.
a little too much. And you say that sons are more likely, this surprises me. Sons are more likely to live at home than daughters, really?
That surprised me too, to be honest with you. I thought that was super interesting. I think one of the other issues that can come up is if you are accommodating your child so much, what if you're not planning for your own retirement?
Right, yes. Yeah, I mean, you spend all these years planning for retirement, you just don't think they're going to come back home, and now all of a sudden you've got this added expense.
And they're really not boomerang kids, they're really boomerang adults. Because they're young adults.
Right. You just need to make sure that they're not taking advantage of you.
Correct.
Something that's very, very important, yeah. So when you started writing this book, were you surprised by all these findings?
Well, in my book, the focus of my book is a little bit more about dating, but it ultimately is about taking responsibility and young adults taking responsibility for their life. And think about it. You want to raise young people, like if you're a mama bird, you're going to want to push that baby out of the nest.
Which can be so hard.
Well, you have a 4-year-old, so
which is so hard.
You don't have to push anybody out of the nest.
I'm trying to get her to stay 3. She turns 4 this week, and come on, can you stay 3? No.
4 is pretty cute, but it is. It's like, what is your? And I think you have to ask yourself, what is my ultimate goal in parenting? Is it so I can make myself feel comfortable and keep my babies in the nest, or is it was I given these children as a gift so they can fly?
Let them fly, right?
Right.
You can find a link to Tracy's new book, also her website, on our website, fox4news.com.